able to answer your questions and address some of the most interesting things in podcasting at the moment. So first of all, the IAB and Edison research that has just recently been completed indicates 65% of podcast listeners are more inclined to consider making a purchase of a product or service promoted via audio. According to Spotify South Africa, quite new on the scene, but they've done some really, really interesting research, 42% of 18 to 34-year-olds listen to podcasts once a week. And that percentage is even higher for the next generation. Spotify also says 35% of South Africans listen to podcasts. Now, I would assume, because we on this continent are hungry for new information, we're hungry for more information, we're hungry to use these as the tools that they have become, tools of emancipation for men, women, and children across Africa who want to connect to markets, want to be able to talk to each other authentically and make a difference. I think all of those things have combined to make podcasting a very important and powerful force. I'll take some questions a little later on if you'd like to know more about our journey, but I'm not going to belabor that point now. Suffice to say, this is the fastest growing medium in the world. It's grown 70% year on year for the last 3 years, according to the same Edison research conducted in America. There is every reason to believe it will continue to grow at that pace on this continent too, even if we're a year or two delayed. So what's exciting about that is that it doesn't compete with social media or with visual media. So we just heard about the influence power of TV and of social media just a second ago. Audio does not compete with Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, or print media, or television for that matter. But for busy people, podcasts allow them to partake and engage with content that doesn't require them setting aside extra time during their day. In other words, while you're driving, while you're on the treadmill at the gym, while you're waiting in a queue, while you're folding laundry, whatever it might be that you have to do, this stuff can come into your life in that little bit of extra time that doesn't require you setting aside a whole portion of your day. And I think for important, busy, productive, driven, ambitious people, that's massively important. You've got to feed your brain just like you would your body by going to the gym, so the best way to do that is with podcasting, and that's probably one of the reasons it's growing like it is. The argument that's being made is that podcasts and YouTube are the only media with enough bandwidth to allow for complex stories, big ideas, and explanation to find purchase. This is massively important because we already know that every brand is trying to tell their story, right? They're all about purpose and values and character. They want to be seen as more than just factories that are producing product or people who provide some kind of a service. Podcasting can do that better than most because it's opt-in, but also because it fires up the imagination. And we live in a continent where the oral tradition is enormous, where people's imaginations are brought to bear in every aspect of how we share interactions between each other. This will position individuals, businesses, and ideas in the future. Podcasting is all about storytelling, and sharing our stories is the most meaningful way that humans can connect. Nobody likes being sprayed and prayed advertised to, but they respond to beautifully crafted, creatively curated content, and that can do what advertising used to do, only it does it better and it does it more authentically. So, I made all of that up, but you know what I mean. What we basically do is we make beautiful stories in audio and in video for brands to claim as their own, to speak to their audience, because we all know that audiences are being increasingly distributed and not concentrated in the hands of media owners, media houses, and the old channels that we might have used before. And that's important because each brand needs to cultivate its own audience, and you have to realize that every business in the world at the moment is also a media business. Whether you're an engineering firm, a surgeon, or a Silicon Valley startup, you're also in the business of media. That means you have to grow your audience, which is something we in the media business have been doing for years. Grow your audience and provide them with content. And the better your content is, the more you have to provide them with, because you don't satisfy that beast by giving them a taste and then taking it away. So for products and services, embedding yourself inside of this content that people care about makes you a part of their lives by choice. and they will appreciate your role in helping bring them info or entertainment that they actually want, rather than interrupting their experience with a sales message. I'm going to introduce you in a second to our panel. We're going to talk a little bit about podcasting, but more especially about the kinds of human behavior, the kinds of decisions that could influence a digital strategy, and the sorts of things that I thought might be useful no matter where on this great continent you come from. I'll also play you one or two examples of the stuff that we have done, just to give you a taste of where it could go. But podcasting needs to be somewhere in your mix. If you're missing out on it, this is not an audience that are duplicated elsewhere. These are not the people, they're unreachable. They have ad blockers on, they don't watch broadcast television, they don't listen to broadcast radio, and these are the movers and shakers that are making the decisions in society today. Because these people are extremely decisive about what they spend their time on. They don't just listen to whatever's on. They form a playlist on their phones of all the stuff they're interested in learning about, whether it's neuroscience, whether it's business, whether it's comedy, whatever it might be. They're not available to you unless you include them in your mix. So let me introduce you to my three esteemed panelists this morning. The first of them is Timothy Maurice, who is a behavioral science expert. He's also the host of the Brain and Brand show on cliffcentral.com. And Timothy can tell you loads of things that will blow your mind in just a minute. Tami Poe is the CEO of Simon and the co-creator of The Interchange, which is a podcast series on cliffcentral.com, which is brought to you by ABSA. And I'll tell you an idea of what that's all about in a moment, because it's quite revolutionary. And finally, an old friend of mine who's been a part of my media mix for years, and someone who saw this stuff long before anyone else. His name is Slicker. He is a creative and digital genius, quite apart from being a musician par excellence. Please come up, Slicker. So, gentlemen, before we get to any of the examples that I'll play for you in a moment, first of all, welcome. Do you want to